Hey Waffle Crew, I hope you're all doing great. I'm Mark, and today we're diving into more Reddit tales. If you enjoy a good Reddit story, consider giving a thumbs up, subscribing, or even hitting that notification bell. Let's get started with our first story. Sending lots of love, everyone. Our next tale comes from Uberland Fox, who asks, Am I the jerk for allowing my stepdaughter to wear a black dress to a wedding? I'm a 48-year-old guy seeking some advice. My wife, Linda, 40, was the maid of honor at my cousin Susan's, 38, wedding. We've been together for a decade, married for 7, and have 2 kids together, a 5-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl, plus my stepdaughter Tiffany, 16. Tiffany's very much into the goth emo scene. She pretty much lives in black clothing, even her sleepwear featuring something like a spooky Hello Kitty design. Linda, on the other hand, is super focused on appearances and details, often micromanaging things. Weddings especially bring out her intense side. She was a bit of a control freak at our own wedding, and I once teased that Susan picked her as maid of honor to have a fierce wedding enforcer. Linda didn't find it funny, so I dropped the joke. In the weeks before the wedding, Linda and Tiffany were clashing over Tiffany's outfit. Linda wanted her to wear something normal, but Tiffany wasn't having it. Linda issued an ultimatum: choose an appropriate dress or I'll pick one for you. Tiffany stood her ground, so Linda went out and bought a peach-colored dress totally unlike Tiffany's usual style, declaring it was what she'd wear. On the wedding day, Linda's maid of honor duties had her with the bridal party from early morning, leaving me to bring Tiffany to the event. I dropped our younger kids off with my eldest daughter, ran a few errands Linda assigned, and got home just in time to leave if everything went smoothly. When I arrived, Tiffany wasn't in the peach dress. Instead, she was wearing a formal black gown that fit her usual vibe: lace sleeves, corset-style bodice, longer in the back than the front. It was exactly the kind of thing I'd expect her to wear to a wedding. I asked if her mom approved the dress, and she brushed it off, saying not to worry and that it was too late to change anyway. I suggested she switch to the peach dress, but she argued there wasn't time, that changing would take ages, and her makeup wouldn't match the other dress. Even I could see her hair, makeup, and accessories were tailored to the black dress, not the peach one. We were already cutting it close, so I didn't push further. We headed to the ceremony with Tiffany in her black dress. Linda was busy with Susan, but quietly questioned me about Tiffany's outfit. I explained the situation. She was already dressed, her makeup and hair were done, they wouldn't match the peach dress, and we were out of time. There wasn't much to do about it. Linda was too swamped to discuss it further. Tiffany got some stares, but that's normal for her. She stands out. Most people seemed fine with her presence. Tiffany rode with me to the reception, avoiding her mom as much as possible. At the reception, I noticed Tiffany's best friend, Bethany, 16, there in a slightly toned-down goth dress. Apparently, Tiffany had helped Bethany sneak into the event. It was a large venue with many guests, so Bethany blended in easily. My dad, who works with Linda and Susan at his company, noticed Bethany and nudged me to point it out. During the reception, Tiffany and Bethany were snapping photos, mostly Bethany photographing Tiffany. Linda, busy with wedding duties, told me to deal with them, saying they were being too noticeable. I spoke to the girls, and they agreed to keep things low-key. Bethany had a collapsible tripod she'd been using, but either stopped or moved to less obvious spots. They stayed out of the way after that. Linda shot me a few glares during the event, but was too busy to make a scene. On the drive home, though, she let loose. She was furious that I let Tiffany show up looking like a vampire and drawing attention. She said I knew Tiffany was supposed to wear the peach dress and shouldn't have so much makeup. She called Tiffany's look inappropriate, saying black is never okay for a wedding guest, that the dress was too flashy, and that she was humiliated. She accused me of letting Tiffany do whatever she wants and allowing her and Bethany to turn the wedding into a costume party and the reception into their personal photo session. In my defense, yes, I knew about their dress dispute, but I was running errands Linda gave me. When I got home, Tiffany was already dressed and we were short on time. I know from experience that she takes ages to change or redo makeup, and she said her makeup wouldn't match the peach dress anyway. She didn't attract that much attention. Sure, she got looks. She always does. But it wasn't a big deal. The photo taking with Bethany was minor. It was mostly just a few pictures. Tiffany did linger near the professional photographer until he took some shots of her, but it didn't disrupt anything. He seemed to be capturing interesting moments, and she caught his eye. The girls toned it down after I spoke to them. Linda complained about Tiffany posing with a bouquet, but she didn't have one when we left home. Bethany brought a bouquet of fake black roses, which I think I've seen before. Susan, the bride, didn't seem to care, if she even noticed. I've told Linda before that some things only become issues if you make them issues. I've also said you have to choose your battles with teen girls. Fighting them just leads to drama and rebellion. I'm more experienced here with two grown daughters, 28 and 22, who are still close to me. Tiffany is Linda's eldest, her only child before our kids together. I've always had a great bond with Tiffany, maybe because I don't clash with her like Linda does. Linda says I let Tiffany run wild, but that's not true. I'm strict about her grades and chores. She used to leave makeup and hair stuff all over the bathroom, and while Linda fought her over it, I calmly explained that she needs to clean up after herself. It worked. She babysits when I ask, and I keep it simple. None of the power struggles Linda creates by micromanaging or adding tasks. If I need to sweeten the deal, I'll offer a small bribe. As for Linda's embarrassment in front of her coworkers, they actually found Tiffany charming. Even after Bethany crashed, it was just a light topic of conversation, not a scandal. We joked about the goth invasion, and that was it. Tiffany even chatted with my mom about makeup. So, long story short, Linda's still upset about Tiffany's outfit, staying moody and creating tension. I've told her it's not a big deal, but some of her friends, not Susan or her co-workers who were there, are calling me the jerk. I think Linda's blowing this out of proportion. Am I the jerk for letting my stepdaughter wear a black dress to a wedding? A commenter asked. Did Susan care? I replied, not that I could tell. She didn't seem bothered and hasn't mentioned it, unlike some of Linda's friends who chimed in later. Chilling Storm commented, not the jerk. You pick your battles, and you weren't winning that one with your stepdaughter. A 16-year-old wearing black to a wedding? No big deal. Laughing Fox suggested, for parents of goth kids, try dark green. It's close to black, especially in fancy fabrics like velvet, and might be a compromise if black's an issue, but forcing a goth teen into a peach dress? That was doomed. I responded, Linda knew Tiffany would hate that dress. I told her right away I couldn't imagine Tiffany wearing it. She just said, it's what she's wearing. A peach dress is the total opposite of Tiffany's style, almost like Linda was trying to punish her rather than find a middle ground. Forcing this kind of thing only harms relationships. I'm glad I backed Tiffany here. Nobody seemed too bothered, though sneaking Bethany in was questionable. The selfie stick, photos, and black rose bouquet were a bit much. I posted an update. I talked with Linda, reiterating points from this thread. I've told her before that fighting over small things creates resentment with Tiffany. I stressed that Tiffany's nearly an adult, and pushing her away could make her distance herself permanently. Linda seemed to listen when I said she can't force Tiffany to be someone she's not. At a Mother's Day gathering with both our parents, my mom told Linda she thought Tiffany's outfit was lovely and praised her effort and charm. We agreed it'd be worse to have a sulky, uncomfortable teen at the wedding. Linda's mom was more judgmental but kept it to a few comments and looks. Everyone knows her views on style are traditional, and she thinks I'm too lenient. We don't see Linda's parents often, maybe a few times a year. If not for the wedding, we might not have seen them since Thanksgiving. I pointed out to Linda that Tiffany spends more time with my mom than her own grandmother. I had Tiffany apologize to Susan just in case, and I spoke with Susan too. She hadn't realized Bethany wasn't invited. It was a big wedding, and she wasn't upset. It didn't affect the planning. I don't mind indulging Tiffany a bit. I try to be a good dad. I'm the only father she's known since her biological dad passed away before Linda and I met. I treat her like my older daughters, and we've always gotten along. Linda was stressed, practically taking over for the wedding planner, whose son had an allergic reaction. He's fine now. It's amazing the day went so smoothly, and Linda deserves credit. She admitted I probably made the right call, but said every girl wants to feel beautiful and confident, and forcing the peach dress would have made Tiffany miserable. That, with goth makeup, would have looked worse in photos. Things are better now. We had a nice brunch together. All's well, I suppose. Many commenters said to avoid controlling teen girls' clothing choices. What do you think of this situation? Share your thoughts below. Now, our next story is from One Change, who asks, am I the jerk for refusing to attend my sister's wedding after learning only our family had to pay to go? This is a throwaway account since I'm active in a D&D subreddit and don't want this tied to it. My younger sister, Katie, 28, and her fiancé, Chris, 29, are getting married in April in Dubai. Katie's always dreamed of a lavish wedding and is going all out. The wedding spans 4 days with 70 guests. They want me, my husband, and our parents to stay at the same luxury hotel as the bridesmaids, I'm maid of honor, and groomsmen. With flights, it's costing us £2,900 each. Chris's family, his parents, 2 brothers, and nephews are also staying there. They're well off. I don't know their exact income, but Katie earns £88,000 and is the lower earner. 6 months ago, Katie and Chris asked to borrow £17,000, promising to repay it over time. They said the venue raised its price due to Dubai laws, and they'd lose a lot without the money. I lent £7,000, and my parents gave £10,000. Later, I learned through someone else that the £17,000 wasn't for the venue. It covered flights for Chris's family, who refused to attend otherwise due to the cost. I confronted Katie, who confirmed it. I asked why they paid for his family, but not ours. I'd never expect them to cover me. If we couldn't afford it, I'd have stayed home and wished them well. Her response? Because they can afford it. She got defensive, saying it was the fairest way, but couldn't explain why she lied about the money being for the venue. My parents were disappointed but are still going. I've backed out. It feels like they're taking advantage of my parents. If they couldn't afford to pay for both families, they should have covered both sets of parents or no one. And definitely not lied. Katie and Chris keep calling saying I'm ruining their day and making them feel bad. It feels wrong to me. Am I the jerk? Should I just go? Be honest, I edited my post. Thanks for the comments. To clarify, my husband's brother, a solicitor, drafted a repayment contract for me and my parents, so the money should be repaid within 12 months of the wedding. If they don't pay, I have legal support. I hope it doesn't come to that. On asking for the £7,000 back, I'm upset, but demanding it now feels like it'd ruin their wedding, which I don't want to do. Maybe I'll change my mind after stewing. Another edit. Some asked about Chris's family. I don't know their finances, but Katie said Chris grew up poor. He's told small lies about his school or childhood home, likely embarrassed about his background. His self-worth seems tied to money now. When his family said they couldn't afford to go, he probably panicked about people asking why they weren't there. He'd either have to admit they couldn't pay or that he couldn't cover them. I don't judge his past, but they should have planned better and discussed affordability with everyone before booking. If his family's presence was non-negotiable, they should have budgeted for all parents, not just sprung a £3,000 bill on us. A commenter asked who's paying for the wedding. I replied, they are. Katie's been saving, and Chris earns well. They had enough for the wedding they wanted. The £10,000 from my parents was expected, as they did the same for me, but the £17,000 venue fee was a surprise they couldn't cover without a loan, which would have cost more. Another commenter said, not the jerk. Destination weddings are so self-centered. I replied, I get that. We had a destination wedding in Italy, but we checked costs for everyone first. It ended up cheaper than many UK venues. We made a list of must-haves and who we could pay for. If key people couldn't afford it, we'd have picked a UK venue. We paid for 15 guests' hotels, and flights were about £240 each, which we counted as their gift to us. It wasn't far off a local wedding's cost. I didn't expect Katie to do the same with 70 guests, but it's her day. Another commenter said, they're not just not paying for your parents, they're making your parents pay for his. That's a double blow. Whether you go is your call, but it'll affect your relationship with your sister long term. I replied, I don't want to lose her, but it's the principle. Lying and manipulating us for £17,000 isn't small. They added, it's not normal and could escalate. How long will you let her lie to you? I said, this is so unlike her. I've never known her to do this. It's why it's hitting me so hard. They replied, if she's lying now, what else will she lie about, especially with her in-laws or husband's influence? I said, this is the first time she's lied to me. If she'd been honest about needing £17,000, I'd have been mad and not lent it. But they could have gotten a loan. It'd still be unfair, but I'd have gone. 3 months later, I updated. I didn't go to the wedding. Katie and Chris hounded me until days before they left, when Katie left a drunken voicemail during her hen do, which I skipped, saying I wasn't her sister if I didn't go, that I was embarrassing myself and them, and shockingly, that if I didn't attend, they wouldn't repay the loan, calling it a gift and daring me to sue. It was beyond what I thought she'd do. I shared the voicemail with my parents, who reluctantly pulled out too. I heard through others that Katie and Chris told wedding guests I'd alienated her from our family, lied to our parents, and demanded the money as a gift. They claimed they uninvited me and my husband and said worse things I won't repeat. They were deeply hurtful. The repayment deadline passed without contact. My brother-in-law tried reaching them, but they ignored him, except for one email from a likely fake law firm claiming the money was a gift and the contract was fraudulent. He sent them the voicemail and a final demand for full payment within 30 days, or we'd go to court. 5 days later, the full amount appeared in our accounts. Since then, they've told others we demanded our gift back out of nowhere, putting them in financial hardship. I can't see a relationship with Katie after this, which breaks my heart, but I believe it's not my fault. Thanks to everyone for the advice. Commodus commented, I'd post her voicemail on social media and tag her so people hear her lies. I replied, everyone who's heard their side has supported me and called out their lies without me explaining. She's damaging herself enough. I'd rather stay quiet and let them dig their own hole. To another, I said, anyone who believes them without talking to me doesn't belong in my life. I'll let her actions sort out who should stay. To a downvoted comment, I clarified, we're not wealthy. My husband and I work, have no kids, and save, which is where the £7,000 came from. My parents used premium bonds for the £10,000. The £17,000 was significant, hence the contract. I didn't initially demand they pay for our parents, but after learning they lied about the venue costs and used it for Chris's family, I asked why. Then I said they should have paid for our parents too. Just because my parents worked hard and saved doesn't mean they're obligated to pay more than his family. I'm with Commodus. Part of me wants to post that voicemail to set the record straight, but with people backing me, maybe it's not needed. What do you think? Share below. Huge thanks for joining today, engaging with these stories, and showing your support. Your time means the world to me. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.